What's up, YouTube? So thank you so much for joining me today in this special episode in Arrow TV, the #1 place for building success, independence, and happiness in our paralegal careers. And in today's special episode of Arrow TV, I want to answer a big question that I get from a lot of my followers. And I think if I answer this question, it will help a lot of you with the same sort of questions that you're asking me. So I have my laptop right here next to me, and I want to say what the question is, and then I'll answer it. So this is a new series that I'm starting. Ask Misty. Ask me what it is that you need to know in your paralegal careers. I want to help you maintain that happiness, independence, and success in your career. So let's get to it. Okay, so shout out to Rajane. Thank you so much for sending me this message. Thank you so much for following me, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly. All right, so the question is, hello, I was searching YouTube for paralegal information and I came across your YouTube videos, which by the way is very informative. Thank you so much for the positive feedback. I've always been fascinated with law, but never wanted to deal with going back to school. I've done some research and found that a degree is not needed to be a paralegal. However, I did see that a certification programs are available at my local universities. Absolutely they are. They're available at your local universities. They're available at your junior colleges. They're available online as well. And she goes on to say, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I would love to get a virtual paralegal job. Do you have any advice you can offer? It would be greatly appreciated. And again, Rajane, you are greatly appreciated for submitting this question. And to answer your question, first and foremost, I'm not going to discourage you from getting a paralegal degree or a certificate in any way, shape, or form. It is one of the most rewarding careers I have ever had, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Having said that, it does require a thick skin and a strong spine, a strong constitution, your ability to adapt well and roll with the punches no matter where they're coming from. Having said that, paralegal certification has its limitations, and that is the schools that provide the education for the paralegal certification can only really teach you Federal Rule of Civil Procedure. They can't really teach you local rules and local civil procedure. That's pretty difficult for them to do on a much grander scale when you're talking about university and online platforms. So that means that your education truly needs to come from on the job. We get that education on the job with other paralegals and attorneys who take us under their wing in the offices and help us with those day-to-day operations of how to run a law firm, how to work a case, how to deal with people. And you truly need that in-office interaction in order to identify that, in order to understand the operations of civil procedure, to understand the operations of a law firm, to understand the billing operations of a law firm. Even if you're not in a defense environment and billing by the hour, you still need to understand from a paralegal's perspective in a plaintiff sector that a contingency fee case is just that. You're assuming all these costs up front. Litigation costs can be expensive. We have to take them into consideration. So, but that's not anything that you're going to get if you start in a virtual space versus being in an office and learning on the job. Learning on the job as a paralegal is tremendous. It's truly, truly needed. And an attorney would be much more willing to contract with you if you spent quite a few years actually in a office environment before you migrated to that virtual space. So, having said that, what are the years involved in an office before you migrate into a virtual space? Honestly, that depends upon you and how far you've grown in the office before you transition to a virtual space. That could be 3 years, that could be 5 years, that could be 10 years. It really all depends on you and how well you grow in your industry and how much you're willing to learn and take initiative and take this legal industry by the reins and grow with it. You've seen these videos on YouTube talking about passive income and about ways that you can start making money online today. And the reason why you haven't seen one about a paralegal who has just gotten his or her certificate or just got their bachelor's degree is because you can't. And the reason why that is because on-the-job experience is just that important when it comes to being a paralegal. Just like being an attorney, you can't just go virtual, you can't just go freelance. You have to be in an office. You really need that on-the-job training. And this video right here, where I talk about what it takes to be a great paralegal and some things that you can do to be this awesome paralegal for your attorney, this talks about why on-the-job experience is so darn important, because you truly need those other people around you to help guide you, and you truly need to be absorbing every single little thing that they give you and taking the initiative for more. And without on-the-job training, we're completely missing that from our training itself. We need that as paralegals. We need that on-the-job training before we transition to that virtual space. Because if we just go right into that virtual space, then we're truly not getting the on-the-job training that makes us invaluable, that makes us the efficient paralegal who helps in those day-to-day processes with the attorneys and helps enrich and make their lives even better, because we're this magical paralegal fairy that came in and did it all. And you just don't get that unless you go on the job, you absorb it all, you gain everything that you can, you spend years doing that, and then transition into a virtual space. But again, transition into a virtual space if you want to, but it's going to be really difficult for you to find a job as a paralegal. Maybe you need to go virtual assistant, virtual secretary, virtual legal assistant first, and then transition into a paralegal. Who knows? You'll know after a few years if you have what it takes to truly thrive in this industry, to stick in this industry, and to start making very calculated moves to migrate to a virtual space. Whether that be for the law firm that you find to be your home, and it'll take you a few to find that, which again is why you need that on-the-job experience. So when you find that home, maybe you can move to a virtual space then. Maybe after 5 or 6, 7 years, you decide you want to go virtual and work for attorneys that way. That's fine. Now, even with this pandemic that's going on, attorneys are still actually more willing to contract with paralegals in the virtual space. However, they are much more trusting of those paralegals, knowing that those paralegals already came from that virtual space and they've been in it and they've been thriving in it for maybe a year or two. Then that trust really builds with that attorney who wants to contract with that paralegal. Now, if you're a paralegal who just graduated with a certification or a degree and you want to go ahead and move into that virtual space, you might find it a little difficult to get an attorney to work with you immediately right out the gate without you having any on-the-job experience. If I were you and you truly wanted to go virtual, then I would go as a virtual legal assistant or a virtual secretary first before I would try and go into that virtual paralegal space, even as a freelancer. Now, just like I don't discourage anybody from being a paralegal, I'm not going to discourage you from going virtual either. Especially after this pandemic, attorneys are much more willing to contract with virtual paralegals, whether it be their own or independent contractors. However, I hope this did answer your question. Now, while I encourage you to go to school and get that paralegal certification and know a degree, a bachelor's degree is not necessarily required in all markets, do your research. Take a look at the areas around you. Go on freelancer.com, go on fiverr.com, go on upwork.com, go on payscale.com. Put in all of your credentials if you're a paralegal looking to go to a virtual space, or Rajane, in your instance, you're a stay-at-home mom looking to get that paralegal certification and then go into the virtual space. So take a look, do your research, and see who else in your space has been able to do that in your area perhaps. If there's nobody, then perhaps there's an untapped market, but chances are you really need that on-the-job training before you transition into that virtual space. And by having that on-the-job training before moving into the virtual space, it will make you a better paralegal for it. Trust me. I assure you, it will make you a better paralegal. Okay, guys, this video was somewhat different because it's a whole new series that I'm starting. Now, if you want to be featured in this series and you've got a question that you want to ask me, feel free to put it in the comments below, tag me on Instagram, or place it in my Facebook Paralegal Boss Club or in Arrow Consultants. I look at every single one of those groups. I'm culling together all of these questions, and I'm going to answer those questions right here in this series, Ask Misty. Thank you so much for joining me today. And of course, good luck to you and all that you do, because this crazy legal industry absolutely needs a paralegal, in-house or freelance, just like you. I hope you have a wonderful day, a fantastic rest of your week, and an amazing weekend ahead of you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys back here on the next one. Bye, guys. Mwah! Okay, no. You hear people online talking, no. You send these